I'm Kim Morris-Zarneke. I'm the program manager here at Charlie Elliott Wildlife Center. I oversee basically the operations of the Wildlife Center, which includes all of our educational programming, our school programming, public programming, teacher programming, as well as programming that we have for the public. So whether they come in for a day or for an event, we also offer hunter education and fishing education programming.
That's cool. And Kim, how long have you been here?
I've been here 3.5 years.
And where did you work before you came to Charlie Elliott? Because I know you have a pretty extensive background in environmental education.
So before I came to Charlie Elliott, I was at the Georgia Aquarium. I was there for 11.5 years as their manager of education programming. So while I was there, I designed all their educational programming with my team, as well as teacher training and evaluation work to see what our guests were taking away from their experiences.
So the aquarium's not quite the same as DNR in terms of organizations. So how do you think that prepared you to come to Charlie Elliott and do what you do now?
The way the Georgia Aquarium is run is basically a business, even though it's a nonprofit. With Bernie Marcus being our founder, he had very much a very specific business model we ran. So there were certain things that got ingrained in me of how you do things, you know, communicating with PR, budgeting. And so moving to state government, in some cases I had to relax a little, but in other things there was things I already knew how to do that isn't normally part of the DNR culture. So when there's an issue, I know to call PR instantly. When it comes to dealing with customer service, obviously that was a big thing at Georgia Aquarium because you had constant people coming back. So that was an easy thing to step into and to provide those training to my staff, as we are a frontline agency. Charlie Elliott Wildlife Center's frontline when it comes to the public for DNR. We're the ones that most people see and talk to.
Right. So we're here at Charlie Elliott Wildlife Center. How many acres does Charlie Elliott have in terms of management here right on this site?
Well, we're kind of a unique site in that we actually sit on a wildlife management area, WMA. So it's the Clybell WMA, which is 6,400 acres. But within the WMA, we also have a public fishing area, which consists of 20 ponds. And I don't remember how many acreage is that, but a lot. And then the Wildlife Center actually sits on a 400-acre safety zone on the northern end of the property. So we're very unique in that you have wildlife conservation section with fisheries and game management all managing the same area and therefore working together to create the positive experience our guests have.
Yeah. So we're hearing some gunshots. Where's that coming from?
It's probably coming from one of our 2 ranges. We actually have a shooting range on property, which has a 50, 100 range, as well as trap and skeet. But we also have an education range. So when we have groups come here, whether it's adults or kids, we can actually take them out and do educational programming. So how to shoot a shotgun, BBs, archery, but basically awareness. We also use this part of our hunter education training.
So are you doing hunter ed, or is there another program within DNR that is responsible for hunter education?
We actually have a staff person on site here at Charlie Elliott who is our hunter education specialist, and so he coordinates all the hunter education programs we do here. But within Wildlife Resource Division, we have a shooting sports team, hunter education team, who then coordinate the activities for the rest of the state.
Oh, okay. All right.
Talk a little bit about environmental education programming. What sort of specific programs do you offer in addition to, or maybe in greater detail to what you already mentioned so far?
So the types of education, environmental education we offer. Well, for the most basic area, right now we're doing summer camps. So we have kids ages 7 to 16 who are coming out and having different educational experiences where we take them out. Yesterday, the camp we're running this week is our outdoor team challenge. So the kids are learning a bunch of different activities that they'll work as a team at the end of the week to score points for. But they're learning how to shoot a BB gun and actually work on their accuracy and precision. They're doing archery, and we put like pieces of candy, so if they hit it, they get the candy, all those good incentives. But they're learning orienteering, canoeing, fly fishing.
Wow.
And they'll have these different things. Other camps we run is a shooting sports camp, so the whole week they become NRA certified in the first shot program, so they'll go all through all the safety things, but they'll learn how to shoot a rifle and a shotgun. We have one camp called Wilderness Survival, so the whole week you just learn wilderness survival skills. So fire building, building a shelter, edible plants, edible foods that are out there. So we kind of try to create these unique things that we can offer physically here that is we're basically using nature as our teaching tool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our big one. We run camps. I do run 2 summer teacher workshops as well, the teacher conservation workshop as well as our outdoor wildlife leadership school, and they are for teachers and non-formal educators who can come and get the content. They're paired with Project Wild, which is a program we run out of here, as well as Project Learning Tree and Project Wet. And with our teacher conservation workshop, we actually teach them about forestry. And so it's all about forestry management, but how does natural resource and forestry management go hand in hand? That you can't have one without the other. Because if you don't have the forest, you're not going to have the natural resources, but the natural resources greatly impact those forests. So we talk about a lot of things with like quail management, gopher tortoise management, especially in southern Georgia. But then we give them different lessons. So we give them the content, we connect them with the experts, but then we give them a lesson that they can take back. So they have the knowledge as well as the skills to do something with it. And our outdoor leadership school is the same way, but that's just us here at Charlie Elliott and Project Wild, but we'll go different parts of the state. So this summer we were supposed to focus on the Piedmont region, but because of COVID we had to cancel it. But we go out with our state herpetologist, and we're going to go and look at different types of amphibians and learn about what we have here. We're going to meet with our state mammologist and actually go out and do a bat survey. So we actually meet with the different researchers, learn about what they're doing, and then once again tie a Project Wild activity to that.
Mm-hmm.
So last year we were in the mountains, so we teamed up with our bear guys. We actually teamed up with our aquatic ecologists, and the folks actually went snorkeling in a stream to start identifying some of the native species up there. We went caving to learn about cave and that type of ecosystem, and then our third one actually goes to the coast. So the same thing, we look at the area, study it, meet with a biologist, and then walk away hopefully more informed. So that's just 2 that we do in the summertime.
So Kim, you work with a lot of DNR staff around the state to do your educational programming, but what about staff here on Charlie Elliott? How many do you have?
We have approximately 23 people who work here at Charlie Elliott. But there's approximately 5 education staff, including myself, as well as our administrative staff, our maintenance staff, and then our conference center. We actually have a conference facility that we are allowed to offer groups who want to come here and have an experience, whether it's a quilting group and they want to have it here because they want to be close to nature, or it could be UGA actually comes here every August and does a program with their juniors and seniors presenting their research projects. But we'll get, federal and state agencies will hold meetings here as well. So we'll get a variety of groups. In addition to that, we have approximately 3 people on the fisheries management side who are on property, as well as 3 people with our game management side.
So if a student wanted to try to pursue a career working at Charlie Elliott or DNR, what advice would you give these students?
I would say go out and get some volunteer experience. Sign up and do an internship. Get out there where they can actually see what's happening. We've had several people who come through. We offer seasonal naturalists, which are about approximately a 3-month paid internship where you can come here to Charlie Elliott, obviously focus on environmental education. And we had several people who, they're the biology major, they're thinking that's what they want to do. And for some of them, it helped confirm that. But then in a sense, we've also had 2 who've now switched and they become the education side. So for sometimes it gives them another side because they're interested in doing the science, but once they start interacting with people, because that's our job, we basically bridge what the biologists are doing to the public. We kind of bring it down back to basic English and explain everything to them so that's more comprehensible, and that's our job. And I think for some of them, they've never had that experience. They've always seen it as the biologist coming. We also have approximately 25 animals that we use as ambassador animals that we take out in outreach programs. So there's still opportunity to work with the animals as the ambassador, but then it's up to the educator to make sure they're staying up to date on the research and what projects we're doing. So my biggest thing is get some experience, get out there, whether it's volunteering at a facility or get an internship, but go kind of see what's really happening in the real world. Because sometimes as students, and I did this, you have this ideal image of what real world should be like. And then once you do it, you're like, hey, this isn't necessarily what I thought it was. And I'll give you a great example. I always wanted to be a dolphin trainer. And I actually did a program where I spent 2 years working with the National Aquarium in Baltimore, and we rotated with different things. Well, I can tell you, after 3 days of sitting in a wetsuit wet, it wasn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be. And I found that I actually enjoyed more observing the animals and researching the animals and see what they were doing than being the actual trainer who was working with it. I still learned a lot, but it helped me understand where I would rather be in my profession.
That's good. That's good. We've talked to several people this week, and a common theme that we've heard is network. What value do you put on building network as a young professional?
I think building a network is key for you throughout your entire career. It's your mentors, it's your friends, but it's people you can fall on when you're not sure what you're doing or you have a question. But it also becomes the people you can go to when you have an idea. So it allows you to create collaborative opportunities, but at the same time, when you're stuck, they can help you come up with the solutions to get through the problem. But then also, as you're working through your career, when you have a network, sometimes it's easier to move jobs because you know somebody in that job, you can talk to them. I would say one of the things when I was at Georgia Aquarium, I had a huge network, and as I developed things or needed things, because we basically opened up the aquarium, we had nothing when we started, I would call on my network. I'd call people and say, hey, I have this piece of baleen, can somebody ID it for me? So I can tell the kids it's just not baleen, but it's baleen from a blank whale. Or I need to get my hands on these resources, does anybody have them? Or I was very active with Project Wet and Wild before, but I can maintain that relationship with the state coordinators throughout my whole time I was at Project Wild, and then it opened up a door. And that was how I got this position. I maintained the relationships with those folks, and when the opportunity came, I knew of it and applied for it, and I was able to call the folks and say, hey, tell me a little bit more about this job. And they knew me, so they were able to say, hey, I think you could do this. Your training has allowed you to do that. So having a network helps in many ways, whether it's for what you need to get done. It creates collaborative opportunities to get things done. In my current role, one of the things I've had to do is create an evaluation tool for a program we have called the DNR Leadership Academy. And even though I had taken a lot of evaluation classes and heard it numerous times, the thought of doing it all by myself was a little scary. But I was able to call you, and I was able to call Nick and kind of say, this is what I've been tasked with, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and I was able to get down that road and successfully, a year and a half later, produce a product that the commissioner, went all the way to our commissioner's office, was very happy with and continued the funding of. But if I hadn't had that network, I don't think I could have pulled that project off. So being able to place those calls and ask the people for the help was key.
Right.
Well, in closing, Kim, what drives you or what motivates you on days when things are hard? Like what is the most rewarding thing about what you do in this particular position?
It's a couple different things. So sometimes it's just interacting with people, like having a moment where we can, especially during COVID, we had a lot of people coming in here who needed to get out of the house. And being able to share with them, hey, this is what we have, this is what we'd like you to do, and they were always very respectful. But just the fact that we were able to give everybody an outlet, and the fact that they wanted it, and they're like, okay, how do I do this? Seeing kids who've never fished come and learn how to fish with their parents, that can be really rewarding. And it's sometimes really difficult that week before, trying to get ready, because you're trying to plan and you're hoping and you're praying it's not going to rain, or 10 other things happen. But sometimes it's just how much fun they have, and the fact that they've taken away something from the experience. And sometimes it's working with the staff and just seeing them be successful and having a good day, and they challenged themselves and they were able to do it. So I think in the bottom, it's working with the people, but it's different experiences that they have and successes.
Thank you so much.
Kim, this is great. Thanks for your time today.
No problem.